Recording started. All right, thank you and welcome everyone.
On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Rhode Island and the East Bay Media Group, we welcome you to the candidate forums for the Bristol Warren Regional School Committee for Senate District 10 and Senate District 11. The forums are being broadcast live and can be seen on the League website, www.LWVRI.org, and will also be available for viewing on the League website tomorrow and until the election on November 8th. The League is a grassroots education and advocacy organization. We conduct voter registration drives, candidate forums, and also study issues that we will promote after reaching a consensus position. The League is nonpartisan. We never endorse a candidate or party, and we always welcome new members. Our co-sponsor for these forums, the East Bay Media Group, publishes newspapers throughout the East Bay. Our moderator tonight is Scott Pickering, General Manager of East Bay Media Group. The first forum is for the Warren seat on the East Bay, on the Bristol Warren Regional School Committee, with candidates Jarrod and Kyle Jackson. The second forum is for Senate District 10 with candidates Walter Felike Jr. and Alan Myers. The third forum this evening is for Senate District 11. Candidates participating are Linda Ujifuza, Kenneth Mandonka, and Andrew Kelly. Mario Texera is also running but was unable to attend this forum. The candidates have chosen numbers to determine their speaking position. After they introduce themselves, 30 seconds each, the moderator will ask 6 to 8 questions, which he has chosen from the questions that have been submitted by the public, the candidates, and the sponsors. The candidates have 1 minute to answer each question. After that, if the candidate wants to comment further, they can use their wild card, which gives them an additional 30 seconds. Each candidate has 8 wild cards, which can be used to extend their opening statement, to comment further on the issues raised, or to lengthen their closing statement. The timing will be done by Nancy and Greg Fritz. When a speaker has only 15 seconds left of his or her time, the timers will raise a yellow sign. And when the time is up, they will raise a red sign. When the speaker sees the stop sign, he or she can finish their sentence, but if another sentence is started, he or she will be charged a wild card. Naomi Kennedy will keep track of how many wild cards have been used by each candidate on the whiteboard. And now I turn the forum over to our moderator, Scott Pickering.
Thank you. So welcome everyone again. I'd like to set the stage in the room here so everyone knows sort of where we are. So we're gathered in the council chambers in Warren Town Hall. We're using a piece of equipment called the OWL, which is picking up the voices of everyone in the room and broadcasting them as they speak. Up top, you can see a panoramic of the room, and you can see, if you look really closely, you can see sort of everyone around here. That's myself as moderator at the moment with the 2 candidates for the Warren side of the Bristol Warren Regional School Committee. We have a couple of timers. We have someone who's recording the use of wild cards. And so you may see the camera bounce around a little bit, but anytime one of our candidates is speaking, it will be trained on them. So we're going to start with opening statements of 30 seconds each. If you go longer than 30 seconds, that's fine. We're going to charge you wild cards, and you don't have to interrupt your train of thought. Please keep speaking and finish your thoughts. That's fine. We want you to feel comfortable as you're delivering your message. And we've predetermined the order. The first to go will be Kyle Jackson. The floor is yours.
Thank you. And thank you to the League of Women Voters and East Bay Media Group for hosting this event, as well as Scott, the moderator. My name is Kyle Jackson. I was born and raised in Warren, and I'm the parent of a sophomore at Mount Hope High. I was a student in the Warren system through 10th grade before spending my last 2 years at Mount Hope, graduating in 1995, and then moving on to Quinnipiac, where I graduated in 1999. For the past 21 years, I've worked in Rhode Island higher education, specifically working with faculty, integrating their curriculum into their online courses, and I will stop there.
All right, thank you. Opening statement with Jarrod Hazard.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and to East Bay Media. My name is Jarrod Hazard. I have lived in Warren for over 20 years. I have an engineering degree from Columbia University, and I specialize at work in solving problems. I believe that our school district can be better. To accomplish this, we first must foster an environment that makes our students feel safe, but also holds them accountable. I want to be, and if elected, I will be an accountable member of the Bristol Warren Regional School District School Committee.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to question and answer format, and we're going to start back with Mr. Jackson. You're each going to have a minute to answer each question. If you want to go longer, just do it. And again, we'll record your time. And then if you want to go back and forth, just let me know and I'll recognize you. First question, as I always say to the candidates, we like to start off easy, let you get through any nerves you might have. So first question, Mr. Jackson, why are you running for school committee?
Well, great first question. Going through the pandemic, I was working at CCRI at the time, moving 800 faculty to online courses from their face-to-face courses, and creating that professional development. And at the same time that I was doing all that, back at home, my family, my daughter was on doing distance learning. She was in the 8th grade at Kickamuit, and my partner Jen was working from home. So Zoom meetings, Zoom meetings, Zoom meetings. And in that same time we were using that technology, I started watching these school committee meetings via YouTube. And that's where I saw some issues and challenges with the school committee. And it's also the reason when I decided to run. I think there's a lack of communication, accountability, respect, transparency, and unprofessionalism. If I'm elected, I would work with my fellow committee members to reset as a committee and work collaboratively as a team to change the current negative culture of the committee.
Thank you. Mr. Hazard.
Thank you. My number one thing is the curriculum. We have a school system that's failing. We're failing in math, we're failing in English. We're failing on everything across the board. One of the issues we have is our curriculums may not match up. So for instance, math and science don't match up. I've talked with teachers at the high school who have said, I'd love to teach this topic now, but I'm being told by the administration I can't teach it until February. That's a problem. What we need to be able to do is empower the teachers, let them teach the students the way they should be taught at the time they know is proper for the students. In addition, part of the issues we have now is transparency. It's for us, many school districts, but ours as well. I'd like to see more transparency. Aspen's a great tool for reporting, but it doesn't explain what's going on in the curriculum and what's upcoming for the parents, if they are capable of helping at home, to be able to help their students.
Thank you. Before we go on, we're going to make a very, very slight technology adjustment. I'm just going to center this so everybody is even. All right, sorry about that. All right, next question begins with Mr. Hazard. What do you believe the role of the school committee to be?
Okay, we should be setting policy. We should be setting the budget. We should be making sure that the environment in our school, just in our schools, is conducive to learning, is conducive to the students succeeding. The end result of everything is we want successful students. We want successful people going out into the world, whether it's directly after high school, after college, after a military service, whatever it is. But part of that is teaching them the reading, writing, arithmetic. And I'm going to add on to that a fourth R of respect. A lot of this in the world right now is a lack of respect. You see that in the behavior of the students. You see that in the way that sometimes the school committee has behaved itself. And so what I would like to do is also, in addition to making sure we foster the right environment for the students, I want to make sure that I bring an amount of respect and accountability to the school committee.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, so there's three main roles for the school committee. Establishing and reviewing educational goals and policy that are in line with the goals and standards that are set statewide by RIDE. Review, monitor, and evaluate the district budget, and then hire and evaluate the superintendent, more importantly, support that superintendent. I also believe in roles and responsibilities, and over the past couple of years, it seems to me that there's been a lot of micromanaging by the school committee. We have hired experts in administration, and they should be left to do their job. And if there is an issue, the superintendent administration will look into that. So big proponent of letting people do their jobs. And if anything, we should be looking to them for guidance when we need it. As a manager of instructional technology at Rhode Island College currently, I have some employees under me and they are experts, and I let them do the work and let them come to me if they're having issues or questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jackson. We're going to move to a new question. And then just to reiterate to both of the candidates, if while we're on a particular topic, if either of you wants to jump back in to add something to your answer or respond to what your opponent said, just let me know and you're welcome to. All right, next question, Mr. Jackson. What do you think students would say if asked what concerns they have about the Bristol Warren schools?
So I talked to a few students at the high school, a handful, and what I gathered from that was that they feel the relationship between the administration and the students is divided. A little bit even more so since Dr. D was removed as the principal. And they also feel that their voice has not been heard by the school committee or taken into account, or their perspectives. So, there's a lot of conversation about bad behavior in the district, behavioral issues, but the behavior of some of the school committees members has been disrespectful, divisive, hubris, and unprofessional, in my opinion. And the committee must be modeling the behavior that we ask of our students.
Mr. Hazard.
Depending on the school you go into, you're going to get different concerns. So at the younger levels, a lot of it's about bullying and just starting their school career. My kids either just graduated high school or are in the high school right now. And a lot of it revolves around not just the bullying and et cetera, but as Mr. Jackson said, they're not being heard. And some of not being heard is not only just not being heard by the administration, but not being heard in terms of their ideas and their beliefs as well. As far as the disciplinary issues, some of them worry not only about what happens if someone comes in with weapons or such. It's also about not feeling in place and not feeling like they can express all of their feelings. I'll stop there for it.
Okay, thank you. All right, next question, Mr. Hazard, comes back to you. The Bristol Warren School Committee has been in the spotlight because of controversies around equity and inclusion issues. What are your views about these issues?
So there've been several issues involving this. Some is just equity of discipline, getting enough opportunities and equal opportunities to people. So equal opportunity isn't just about trying to get equal outcomes. It's also about trying to give everybody the equal opportunity to succeed. As far as some of the disciplinary, there have been hints in the past about favoritism. I would definitely, personally, if I was in a position where I knew a student who was being disciplined and it actually came all the way to the school committee, I would recuse myself because I don't believe in having any say in something like that. We need to make sure that we have the equal opportunity. We need to make sure that we are not necessarily striving for just equal outcomes, although the support should be given. So some of the support that's been in there has been not identifying who needs help. When we do not see who needs help properly, they can't get the help they need, or we may try to give help to somebody who doesn't need it. I know of cases where students who were acing their math class were given chances to take the SAT prep course. That doesn't make sense to me. They're acing a sophomore and junior level course. They're being told they need help. We need to work on that.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson, same question,
Can you just
which I can read again if you'd like. The Bristol Warren School Committee has been in the spotlight because of some controversies around equity and inclusion issues. What are your views about these issues?
Yeah, so I think first, school committee members need to be on the same page of what the definition of equity is. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about what that is. And really what it is we're making accommodations for disadvantaged students to succeed, okay? An idea that I think would be helpful to the school committee would be professional development for the school committee on such things as equity and inclusion. And there's actually a line item in the budget that is specific, small amount of money for professional development for school committee members. And when I met with Superintendent Riley yesterday, she actually informed me that she actually put that line item in personally. So I think that definitely needs to happen. Learning as a team is fantastic. In the meantime, we need to get everybody on the same page of the definition, okay? And create the framework of what equity is and make sure we understand so we're not miscommunicating and misunderstanding.
Thank you. Yes, come back in.
One thing included in the inclusion part of this, we need to keep our kids allowing themselves to express their feelings. We cannot, as a district, make the approach that we want to broadcast a specific agenda or political position. Back last year, there was a mural put up, and I know that there are people that did not agree with that mural, and it probably should not have been up unless you're going to allow for an opposing view.
Thank you. All right, next question. Mr. Jackson begins with you. In some elementary grades, class size went from approximately 16 to 23 students. How will you handle budget choices that affect classroom size?
Yeah, that's a giant gap. Obviously, kids learn better in small classrooms with their teacher, and teachers can handle the class. So we'll have the research on that. I would definitely have to look into the budget and see how we can move things around. Hiring additional teachers, which is quite difficult. The whole state's going through that issue right now. But that would be one way, is hiring teachers and hopefully having the classroom space to break those classrooms up a little bit and bring that number back down.
Mr. Hazard.
Unfortunately, with budgets the way they are, sometimes that decision has to be made. I would not go as that for my first decision. I don't think that is the best way for a student to learn. We want the smallest classroom we can have, but as we know, actually hearing 16 to 23 is a lot less than it used to be. So that sounds like that's actually an improvement over the last 10 years. So we need to look at it. We need to see what can be done so that we can, as Mr. Jackson said, do the best we can for our students.
Mr. Hazard, next question goes to you. Students go out into a world that is increasingly complex and challenging. What do you think this district needs to do to prepare students for this reality?
We did this a couple of times. So one of the things that I would look at trying to get implemented is being able to think critically. I know we have a critical thinking portion of our curriculum, but I think more of that is instead of critical thinking, it's challenging thinking. What I mean by that is they're being taught to challenge the status quo, challenge some of the environment. Critical thinking is about taking a topic and learning both sides of it. When we go into the world now, we're being told so much of what's going on, we can't stop and think for ourselves. And I think that puts everybody in a very difficult position, puts them in a very difficult mental state, because they're not actually taught to think and look at both points of view. I would propose doing something like adding to the curriculum, rather than the portfolio that's being done at the high school now, a situation where they have a full-blown research type project that's got to be done at, probably the junior level, so that it's prior to going out and looking at colleges and all of that goes with your senior level stress level anyways. And make it one that they set out, they pick a topic, they pick a point of view on it, and they just decide what to do with it.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, so I think we need to look at our strategic plan that the current school committee has created and is being integrated into the district by the superintendent. And we can look at number 2, which is teaching and learning, right? So a lot of talk about test scores. Math test scores are definitely down, need to come up. So we need to make sure academic standards are met. We need to make sure that the mental health needs of all the students throughout the district is being met and beyond. And we have to make sure that classroom and real world pathways, those are continuously improving. And those pathways, whether it be college, career, or life. And then of course, high quality professional development. Some of these things have already been happening in the district to help out specifically with the academic standards. We can look at the preschool expansion that's been implemented, getting more young kids into preschool. Only I think 50% or so go to preschool, getting prepared for kindergarten and beyond. We can look at the science of reading and structured literacy also for our younger kids. As everyone knows, reading is critical, and to be where they're at the younger levels, first, second, third grade. That's huge. And when we talk about mental health, we do have the multi-tiered systems of support headed up by Dr. D, which has been proven to work in other districts. Of course, it's brand new. It's going to take some time. Change is slow, but I think we are getting there.
Thank you. All right, next question. Mr. Jackson begins with you. And by the way, I didn't write all of these questions. I vetted them a little bit, so I think there's accuracy in them, but these were submitted from the public. Chronic absenteeism appears to be a problem in the district, with both teacher and student absenteeism at or above 20% in some schools. What action would you take to address this?
So again, we're looking at the strategic plan. That's what we should be looking at, right? Climate and culture, and making the change for both students and teachers and staff. We need to create a much more positive climate and culture in the school system where kids actually want to get into school and get somewhat excited about it. Now, this question was asked last night at the Bristol forum, and it's alluding to 2021, which was a COVID year. So that probably had a lot to do with student absences and with teacher absences. If I'm a teacher and it's the pandemic and I'm a single parent and my 6-year-old son has COVID, well, I guess I'm going to be out of school for 7 to 10 days, and I'm going to use my sick time because I need to take care of my child. And, oh, now I got it. Now I have COVID. That's another 7 to 10 days. So now we're at that 18 to 20%. Right off the bat. Now, is every absent kid and teacher, is it from COVID? No, but that's a lot of this talk has been during a COVID year, and that's a big percentage of that is there.
Mr. Hazard.
Absenteeism's been an issue for years. We know about the teacher walkout a couple of years ago, and definitely COVID has had an effect. I know when students are out, they're out for 5, 7, 10 days, depending on when it's been that they've had COVID. Parents, if they get COVID, then the student had to stay home for a while anyways, in order to prevent the spread. The teachers, when they're absent a lot, and trust me, the kids realize it, they notice that the teachers aren't there. Part of that problem is it then spills over and sends a message that maybe education isn't the most important thing in this world. We as the school committee need to adopt a position and help the administration set rules that what our expectations are for attendance, both for teachers and for students. Currently, if students are habitually late or tardy. We get notes sent home, messages from the school district saying, oh, don't stop and get your Dunkin' Donuts in the morning because you're late to class. But there's not all that much in the way of consequences. If we set up a system where they know, if I miss this many classes, my grade will be affected. Or if I miss this many classes, I'm going to be, not allowed to do X, Y, or Z. You'll start to see better attendance. They'll start to realize education is important.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I just want to comment on teachers walking out at Kickamuit. I wouldn't put that in the absent category. I'd put that in the standing up for something. As we know, in Kickamuit several years ago, there were a lot of issues there, and administration wasn't doing anything about it. So I don't think that's we're going to say that's teachers being absent.
Thank you. All right, last question for the two of you. We're flying by. I'm sure that went quickly. Starts with Mr. Hazard. Are you a better choice for this seat than your opponent? And if you are courageous enough to say yes to that, which I assume you will, why?
Yes, I think I am. And the reason is I want to come in and solve the problems that exist. That's my whole reason for wanting to do this. I've been told by people who have formerly served in state legislature, I'm asking for a thankless job. That may be the case, but I'm asking for that because I want to improve the education. I want to improve our schools. I want our kids to do better. This is all about making sure we can foster an environment where the teachers feel empowered, where the students feel better about going to school, getting their education, doing better. We've alluded to the test scores, which I don't like necessarily as the only metric, but if a kid achieves 65% in a school, in a class, they've got a D. We don't get anywhere close to 65 on our test scores. So we need to improve on everything. And I think accountability, education, asking for a stronger curriculum will do better.
Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, so yes, I do think I'm the better candidate. 21 years working in Rhode Island higher education at both CSRI and RIC, and most of those days working with faculty and students, working with faculty to integrate their curriculum into online courses to get the best student outcomes from those students, from those courses. A lot of experience in education. Also, I serve on several academic and technology committees for the past 20 years and currently still do in my position at RIC. And I'm ready to take on this challenge. Jarrod said, thankless job. I put the time in. I've been frustrated for the past several years. And I think to my father, the late Rick Jackson, who was a teacher at Warren High School and the athletic director, and later at Mount Hope before passing on when I was in high school. And the thing that he always instilled in me and my mom, Debbie, was that when you see a wrong, you can either stand by the sideline and do nothing, or you can stand up for what you believe in and stand up for what is right. So I do think I'm the better candidate.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of our question and answer. We're going to move to closing statements. And Mr. Jackson, you'll go first. You have up to 2 minutes. You have 3 wildcards left, so you have up to 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Okay, thank you. So if elected, I will work with my fellow committee members to reset and create a shared vision for how we work together based on best practices. By communicating, celebrating our successes, and respectfully addressing conflict, we can work together to become one of the best districts in the state. And I believe that. The current committee is failing the district and it needs to change. The committee must model, I think I said this earlier, I'm going to say it again, must model the respect, kindness, and accountability that we ask of our students. We need to lead by example. There will be times when we face hard decisions and disagree in reviewing finances, curriculum, evaluation. And in these moments, we must remember that we all have the same goal to create a safe, vibrant, and inclusive community and environment for the students. We all want our students to succeed, and we want our district to effectively use our resources. If we can make this change, we'll be able to reverse the negative connotations associated with the current committee to positivity. And that positivity is going to trickle down to all the stakeholders in the district, and most notably the administration, the teachers, and the students, and to the outside perception, that positivity, we need to take the negativity out of that. Being in the news several times statewide over the past few years is disgraceful, and it's unprofessional, and it needs to stop. So I humbly ask for your vote come November 8th. If you have any questions, please reach out to me via my Facebook page. You can just search Kyle Jackson for Bristol Warren School Committee. My email is on there. If you'd like me to expand on any questions that we had tonight, or you have your own, please feel free to reach out. I want to thank the, did I get my thank you in?
You want to thank us?
I want to thank you, the League of Women Voters, and I'd like to thank Jarrod as well for participating in this with me.
All right, thank you. I'll give him an extra 5 seconds if he needs it.
That's
Thank you
fine.
as well.
I have it stopped out at about a minute and a half, so I think we should be okay.
Yeah, you,
2 minutes.
Mr. Hazard, you also have 2 minutes. So
Thank you.
go ahead.
We've covered a whole host of topics tonight, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters and East Bay Media for hosting this forum. During the short time that we've had this tonight, and it's only been about a half hour, we've covered, what the role of the school committee should be, how we should handle student concerns, inclusion, challenging world that the students go out into. And I've tried to offer some solutions to these topics so that you, the voter, can see that I understand I've thought about these issues that are most important to you. I've tried to articulate some ideas. I know I've stuttered a couple of times here, but I'm not a public speaker. My top 2 priorities for this district are to improve the curriculum, improve the education of your child and all the students in the district. I want to improve the accountability, communication, and the transparency within the schools and the school committee. My name is Jarrod Hazard. I've lived in Warren for over 20 years. I have 2 boys that were either enrolled or currently or just graduated recently, Bristol Warren's Regional School District. I want to see our district improve, and as such, I respectfully ask for your support and vote. I want to be, and if I'm elected, I will be an accountable member of your Bristol Warren School District.
Thank you. All right, thank you both. That concludes this forum. I'm going to stop the recording. Just give me a moment.